Hi everyone, it's me again, Mary Sutherland. This is, I believe, episode 7. So we've actually been doing this for a whole week now. So congratulations to all my watchers for watching, and congratulations to me too for being able to come up with some of these ideas. Today I thought what we'd do is actually talk on dimensions and phase shifting, and some of the entities that live within these, live among us that are invisible to us. Okay, so anyhow, a lot of people live in fear today. Half the world thinks that because Trump's, that became president, that, bad things are going to happen to us, like the world coming to an end, nuclear war, etc., etc. The other half think that, that he is the savior that came in to save the world, so, and then all the other different things. We've got the thing going on, with the Indian nation, and the pipelines, and, oh gosh, there's so many different things going on. It just keeps people upset all the time, where they're not able to focus on what they should be focusing on, and that is their ascension process. One thing is you can step into other realities. You actually can create your own realities, whereas you're not going to be caught up in these other people's realities of the fear and the hate and that. I try to. Sometimes I'm not very successful with it, but because I get caught up in the worldly events too, it's very difficult not to when you're being bombarded in so many different directions. But if you stay true to your path, then and work at it. You actually do have to work at it. It's not just being able to say, this is what I want, put it out there and just let it be. No, you have to keep working at it. See yourself falling backwards, you fall down, just pick yourself up and start over again. It's kind of like a toddler when they're learning how to walk. First of all, they're crawling, then they get up, then they fall down, but they always get back up again until they've got the hang of it, and now they're walking, and now then they start running, So the idea is pick yourself back up again. Never give up. Question is, can I disappear and become invisible to weapons, disease, and even world catastrophes? You can. You really can. You simply create an artificial reality or shift into another dimension. You really can do that. I know a lot of you think that's impossible, but it's really not. As a matter of fact, we're actually doing it every day without even realizing it. For an example, I was in Burlington on Mormon Road, and I think it was Coral was with me, and we were out trying to film UFOs because there's a lot of sightings off Mormon Road. So anyhow, I think my dog's going to be wanting up here real shortly. But anyhow, I want to show this to you. Coral was I was standing in the middle of the road. Okay, hold on. I was standing, see me? I'm standing in the middle of the road here, and I'm photographing. And you see how this works? There's 2 lines there, and then here there's 1 line. And you can actually see the crease in the road. But this is the second picture. The first picture is, see, there's the 2 lines, right? But I'm not there. And when she took that picture, she kind of yelled out to me because it frightened her, because she could not see me. She said I disappeared. So then she shot the second picture immediately afterwards. And there I am, back, standing right, I should be standing right here. And now I am standing right there. So and now me, I didn't know I disappeared. So yeah, we do that all the time. We go in and out of realities. Okay, so I'm going to take you back to me. Here I am. Okay, so actually, I think I should have shown you this one too. This one was really cool. Hold on just a second. I asked my dog if he wanted to be up here in bed with me, and he went under the bed. Now, because I'm doing this, now he wants up here. Okay, hold on, guys. Ugh. Okay, we're just about ready here. Hold on. I gotta get my computer up and put my dog under the under his pillow. You want under the pillow? No? Okay. So now I'm gonna take you back here again to this picture. Now you see I had a large group that night up in the woods. And see how they're standing there and they're actually taking pictures. Looking up, taking pictures. Because they could feel something. They just did not know what they were feeling. So they were taking pictures. And I took a picture. And you see that there's the same group. This group here has the etheric body has actually shifted into another dimension, or it's a parallel universe or alternate reality. But whatever it is, the same group is mirrored here, standing above themselves, looking back at themselves. So this group is looking at this group, and this group is looking at this group. You know? And so, which is kind of cool. Here's another picture too. Take this down a little bit further. This was off Mormon Road. This is a picture of this woman's son had been abducted right in this area. And she became a researcher of mine, you know, to learn more on, you know, on UFOs and, you know, the mysteries of that area. So that night what she did is she went back to Mormon Road in the same area that her son had been taken, and there had been some reports of UFO sightings there. And as you can see, she put the camera outside of her window. She's in her car, put the camera outside her window and shot. Now, she couldn't see it, but it was an etheric ship. And you can actually see right in here the energy as the ship is taking off. But the camera caught it, but she didn't see it for herself. Remember how I had told you how I had learned how to photograph entities that were cloaking themselves inside another, you know, making themselves invisible. Again, I was out shooting. We were having UFOs coming over Burlington almost nightly for, gosh, I don't know, good 8 months, if not a year. But I'd go outdoors to photograph them and the UFOs, but I was beginning to feel something standing and watching me. And this is when I learned about this field, or this cloak of invisibility, and how they were using the molecules. Now, I couldn't see this, but I could feel it. No, and this was not me shooting into any window either. But as you see, what they do is they use the molecules. They use their mind to start spinning these molecules around themselves. And once they can get these molecules spinning fast enough, then what they can do, then it passes our spectrum of vision. And anything standing in it or behind it would not be visible to us. Fortunately, you can still capture them many times on a camera, which I did. And this green that you see here, that's the cloak of invisibility. That's the spinning molecules. And then you can see here, this is the bulbous head. And here is an eye. Whoops, I'm sorry. Here is an eye. There is an eye. Here's the nose. And then you can see the neck. And then they always have like a Gumby type body. Now, I photographed him, and then I was able to get this one too. Again, you see the molecules. But this one showed up more of like a shadowy figure. But the same shape of head. Same slanting shoulders. And then that's all I got another picture that's even better yet, but I don't have it on this site. I'll show it to you at another time. But anyhow, I just wanted to show you those pictures and show you that there are you can step into another reality and disappear. And I'm thinking that maybe that's what the biblical rapture is all about. Daniel said that he wrote a novel about this exact same thing. I have my beliefs that this is a result of different dimensions being separated by the speed of energy. Very possible. Very, very possible. I think that many of us are starting to see all this, and what we need to do is start coming together, discussing this, having an intelligent discussion on this, and coming up, and sharing our ideas, because at this point in time, who's right and who's wrong. I mean, we're not going to get any place that way. What we need to do is share information and then find the common denominators and listen to everyone, whether they have a degree or they don't have a degree. We're all intelligent people. We all have the capability of using common sense. It's nice to use science because they have the equipment that we don't generally have access to. So, it's always wonderful to be able to combine these two groups. Let's see. I wrote an article on this. I can't remember. I don't have it dated. But the article was called Reality Shifting, Phase Shifting, and Alternative Alternate Realities. But entering into new dimensional worlds is simply a matter of expanding our consciousness. All right? And the spectrum of reality encompasses both that which we can see and measure, as well as that which we can neither see nor measure. Our human senses detect only 5% of the spectrum of reality. The other 95%, although very real, is invisible to us. Inhabiting the etheric borderland are interdimensional entities, elemental beings, souls, and astral shells of the dead that we know of. What else is there? We're still finding out. I'm glad that there's more people coming in and listening to these shows. And so, and I ask you to share your comments with us, your feelings. Our universe is operating on a certain wavelength. It's a phase shift operating on a slightly different wavelength may reveal whole new worlds that are beyond our sensory constructs. Interference between these wavelengths have been postulated as one answer for ghosts and other paranormal activity. Yeah, and like, let's say, that there's veils, that separate these alternate realities. So a person from that other alternate reality or parallel universe or other dimension, they get too close to that veil, and they may appear to us as ghosts or shadowy figures. And maybe too, when we get too close to that veil, they're also seeing us too as shadowy figures or ghosts. But since the middle of the last century, a great deal of research has been carried out in paranormal and spiritualistic phenomena. And there has been a new branch of science called parapsychology that has sprung up from it. And so there's there's been more and more evidence proving that these astral realms and these entities do exist. As I talked about yesterday, the East and the West has two different ways of seeing things. The Eastern country, the Eastern world, sees everything as the Maya, the illusion. Where us, it's physical. If we have to see it, feel it, taste it, smell it, whatever. It all goes on our five senses. And if we can't do that, to us, it's not real, or to most of us, unless we start following the Eastern philosophy, which I think that more and more people are starting to do. Reality is actually based on your belief systems. Whatever you believe in will manifest in your reality. Thus, whatever you don't believe in will not, in most cases. That is the primary reason why people who do not believe in, let's say, UFOs never see a UFO. With that in mind, know that if you plan on hunting for the paranormal, the mysteries of UFOs, you have to keep an open mind to all the possibilities. If you close that door, you may never experience the magic around you. Sometimes, in order to understand what is out there, you must first understand how you see your reality. So let me kind of explain it for you, okay? I think that I have explained it to you somewhat in the earlier episodes, but it's worthy of explaining again. One, it all starts with the brain and how it is programmed to create your reality. From birth, your brain is programmed as what to believe and how to respond to conditions based on those beliefs. The programming comes via many ways, like parents and teachers, religion, your peers, books, television, etc. 2, your senses send information to your brain, which then filters it according to what it is programmed to believe is necessary for your survival. It works much in the same way as your email and your spam program. The computer will, in your the spam, it kicks out anything it thinks it's spam and allows what it thinks pertinent to you into your email. Let's see, it's material coming in that is not part of your belief structure is booted out into the trash. After it's been booted out, of what it thinks is trash, it then takes the remaining information and processes it into your reality. 3, your nervous system works like a two-way highway. It transmits and it receives. The nerve cells of the body, which are called neurons, talk to each other, passing information from one sensory neuron to another until it gets to the central nervous system. When the brain again receives a signal, it processes it, sends it back to the body, telling it what action to take. And just like a computer, the brain needs to be programmed in order to process data. Although your spouse may be a sight for sore eyes at the end of a long day, if it wasn't for how your brain processes the information, you wouldn't even recognize that spouse. Same way with pepperoni pizza. May be delicious, but without how the brain processes it to say it's delicious and you like it, your taste buds won't be working. And you would know the difference between eating that pizza or eating the box that it came in. None of your senses would be useful without the processing that occurs in the brain. But what a waste of a good brain if it is processing everything according to disinformation, programmed into it since your childhood. And unfortunately, that has been what has happened to us. We here in the Western world, we've been processed. Our brain, we have been downloaded with a lot of things that we need to get rid of. For some of you, the information you have that the brain uses for processing is quite adequate. But for those of you that want more, that want the magic back in your life, then you need to start reprogramming your brain to allow more information in. How do you go about doing this? It's quite simple. Remember I think it was in the last episode, I had said that that you need to, I forgot what I was going to say. Have to tune into the last episode to find out, I guess. But, metaphysical rule is it's simplicity in its most simplistic manner. So what I'm simply saying is, if you want this information, you simply say to yourself, I want to believe in whatever the case. I just want to believe. And this can actually be, you can take this right back into the teachings of Christ. Ask and you shall receive. It's such a simple little phrase, but with oh so much power. So much power. You just have to have faith. You ask for it. So basically by asking for it, you're sending that request to your brain to accept more information. Once the brain knows that you want that spam mail, particular mail that was looked at as spam, you want that now to be processed into your reality, the brain will adjust itself and start allowing that particular information to come in. And once it's in, then the brain processes it accordingly. And you will start seeing all these different things coming into your reality and more information that you are able to now start understanding. So you'll be able to then start seeing fairies and little people, elementals, UFOs, ghosts, or whatever your thrill is. You just think it into your reality and believe. Then simply just sit back and watch the magic start happening. And have fun with it. You know, like with me, I like everything. I like to analyze everything. I'm a Cancer, so, I analyze things to death. But to me, that's fun. But you don't need to analyze it either. You can there's a lot of people out there that they just enjoy it. it's just fun for them. So, I mean, you can take it with how I do it, or you can take it how other people do it, or come up with your own way. T.H. Huxley, there was a nice quote that I always used to use. Sit down before facts like a child, and be prepared to give up every preconceived notion. Follow humbly wherever and to whatever abyss nature leads, or you shall learn nothing. In other words, open your mind to all the possibilities. There are creatures that appear to inhabit the ethereal borderland between the physical and the astral realms. The astral realms are said to be inhabited by further varieties of elemental beings, and also by the souls in the astral shells of the dead. Since the middle of the last century, a great deal of research has been carried out into this paranormal and spiritual phenomena. From it, we have realized that there are portals, there's doorways into these dimensional worlds. Some are natural, and some, all the way up to the days of the Toltec, they would actually make. You can make portals and use those portals to travel in and out of the other worlds. Brett actually photographed one that was made, we believe, by a Toltec, because they're called, what are they called? They're, brain's not working today, I can see. Signature face portals. And what the Toltec used to do is they would create a portal for themselves, and then they put the imprint of their face on the doorway, so that the other magicians or wizards would know that that portal belonged directly to that one particular person. And Brad actually, I think he's the only person in the world that has actually photographed a signature face portal, and it's very neat. It seems like every time I talk to you guys, my nose starts itching. So I must have some sort of an entity, a spirit that is sitting with me, guiding me to give you guys information. Because when I'm doing this, basically, I'm just, I don't rehearse. I don't have a bunch of notes or anything in front of me. I just kind of like, just do this cold turkey, it's just straight up. Whatever I'm thinking, that's what I'm putting out to you. So because my nose always starts itching, and it doesn't itch when I'm not doing this, but it's just like a little feather under my nose all the time going tickle, 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 tickle. So anyhow, so I think I'm pretty sure that we have maybe a mime or something here helping me using me maybe as a conduit to explain to you what's going on in these little classes. Walking through portals. Excuse me. I don't fear portals. As a matter of fact, I actually find them fascinating. But I do respect them for what they are. We have had people disappear into them, and we have stepped into parallel worlds, and we have stepped into other places in time. At first, we only knew we were in a portal after reviewing our photos. Now I can tell immediately when I step into one. I feel the time and space distortion. Many times the sound of the woods immediately changes, like walking into a void. Remember yesterday I did a class on how you have to use your five senses to be able to pick up these very subtle energies. So this is what I do when I'm looking for portals, or when I'm out doing my research, looking for entities that are within this invisible world. So I feel the time and space because I'm listening to my body. I'm feeling that time and space distortion. And because I'm tuning into the woods and what's all around me, I I can tell when the wind changes or the sound changes. Many times the sound of the woods will immediately change, as like walking into a void. The air pressure changes, and we can experience a ringing in our ears and a throbbing in our third eye. Sometimes a small headache, or you'll get like blurred vision. Your equilibrium, many times you'll find, is off. And we lose our balance, or we even walk like we've had a few drinks. But somebody will answer the phone, hopefully. But yeah, Brett's answered it. So anyhow, our equilibrium be off. Now with me, when I'm in the woods, I hold myself different. I walk really loose as I can be, so that you know, when the wind comes or energy is working with me, I sway back and forth, forwards and backwards, because spirits, ghosts, they'll use energy to push you, and not to hurt you or anything, but they use it to get your attention. And then of course, you know, like I also walking very loose. Like, think of a tree, you know, big strong oak tree. It's, you know, it's planted in there very solid, but it's learned how to bend with the wind, you know, or grow according to the environment. And that's how you have to be, is like that tree, that oak tree, when you're walking in these woods. You have to learn how to tune in, to listen, to smell, to be, you know, keep your muscles loose, everything, your back, your legs, and everything's, you know, loose. But anyhow, and then you'll notice that your equilibrium will be off, and then all of a sudden you start going this way or that way, kind of like how a pendulum works. Because I guess actually what you are, well, how I'm explaining this is basically what you're doing is becoming a human dowsing rod, or a human pendulum. And by doing, and you know how a pendulum works with energy, and how rods work with energy. So if you can loosen yourself up, stay in the now, tune yourself in, then you become like a human pendulum, and you'll start moving back and forth. And you'll be picking up messages from the other side. So going back into portals, many times in the woods, people have told me that they've experienced time loops, just like in the Matrix, watching that cat go up the stairs twice. It's a glitch in the Matrix. And people, I think it was Jolene and another friend, they had went up to the woods and they were riding a bicycle, or they were walking and a guy rides by them. And it's only one path, only big enough for, you know, one person to walk the path. It'd be kind of difficult to walk it in pairs. So I mean, and there's one way in, one way out. So you know, but they were walking in the woods, and this guy riding a bicycle came up from behind them, and they stepped off the path to let him through. And a few minutes later, same thing happened again, just like what happened with Dr. Steve. That same bicycle rider came up from behind them. They had to step aside and let him go by. And so it was a repeat of the same action. So that's what we call a time loop. Or you'll find yourself walking by something twice, knowing that you only walked by it once. There again, a time loop. Some of the portals you walk into are extremely warm, and you'll break out in a sweat. Where other portals, there could be like a drop in temperature, 20, 30-degree drop in temperature just as soon as you step into them. When you step out of them, you're right back to normal temperatures. When you're in a portal or a vortex area, you'll notice that emotions and judgments are off as well. Where you'll see, some will feel exhilarated, others will feel depressed. This can last for a while, so I always suggest that people, when they get home, take a bath in the Epsom salts, in their bath water. Now, Brad feels that what happens, with these emotions is that the original attitude of the person becomes intensified while in the portal. So if a person is very joyful, then they'll break out laughing, and they can't quit laughing. But if a person has a bad attitude, they have more of a negative reaction to the portals, where they show anger, start threatening people. Although some people have claimed to see ghosts, and many have reported anomalous cold spots and described a strange chill on their skin, modern ghost hunters have shown that unusual magnetic fields and strong voltages also occur in these same haunted locations. Unusual orbs have been photographed at the same time that magnetic and electrical disturbances are measured. None of these can be explained, however, by conventional science. This was written by and explained by a physicist, Dr. Claude Swanson. Brad and me actually paid to fly him up here to Burlington and go into the woods and experience the phenomena for himself, because Brad and me has spent tens of thousands of dollars bringing in physicists, scientists, various universities, camera professionals. We had the photography class from the University of Chicago. The professors that was teaching it actually come to the woods, photograph, see my photographs, experience. There has been no exception to this rule. Everyone, without a doubt, with no exception, has said that what we're photographing, what we're talking about, is a real phenomena, yet to be explained. I remember Dr. Claude Swanson, when he went into the woods with me. He got about 30 foot into the woods. And he just stopped and he looked at me and he says, "My God, Mary, how did you find this place?" He just could not believe how strong these woods were. It's a real thing. Trust me, I wouldn't spend tens of thousands of dollars for all these people to fly all these people and get their hotels and pay for all their expenses if I didn't believe in my work. I think that I would probably be taking that type of money and spending it more on myself, taking Caribbean cruises and going to Vegas and all those places. Instead, Brad and me, we want to help, we want to learn, we feel that that is our path, teaching people, and we're doing it the best we can by actually getting these scientists here, and these researchers, so that we can give you the best information possible. We're not trying to create some sort of intensity where or hoaxes to take your money. very few people. I mean, you guys are all watching this free. I mean, I'm not charging anything for any of it. I make my money on my websites and through my book sales. But as far as my websites go, as far as these live streams go, they're all free. And I put myself out there, yes, but I back myself with science and common sense and keep my mind open to all the possibilities. And I do have conversations with others, with my peers, intelligent conversations, intelligent debates as to what the probabilities are. And if I feel that it is like a lens flare or something like that, I'll be the first to say it. Because I don't want to waste my time with something, that isn't real. You got better things to do. So there's going to be some people that don't believe in my work. But just because they don't believe in it doesn't mean I don't believe in it. And I have spent almost 2 decades working in this field and trying to come up with the answers and I'm a pioneer. I've been exploring fields that I'm one of the first ones that have been exploring fields that no one else had explored. I put my neck out on the line to come up with things. I've heard the stories. Oh, she's crazy. This stuff doesn't exist. Da-da-da-da. It's fine. Okay? But I believe in it myself. And that's what counts. I believe in it. And I believe that it's worthy enough for me to spend my money and spend my time and get that information and share it with you. Okay? So any non-believer can take that and put it where the sun don't shine, right? Okay, so now quantum science says that there's X amount of parallel universes. I think, what was it? I think there's maybe 21, 12, I don't know, I can't remember. But I know that can't be true. Just for the fact that, hold on. The parallel universes have got to be infinite. Because one time Coral and I were out at Eagle Lake, and there's a portal out there. And I shot a picture of Coral getting into her car, and her car door is half open. See? Oh no, the back door is half open. But you see right here? These? That's the side of her car door. The inside? Oh yeah, it's open just a little bit, and that would be this part. Right on the inside of that door. That's an inside of a door, inside of a door, inside of a door, inside of a door, inside of a door. Those are all pictures of the inside of her door. And there's way more than 21 of them. And that's why I believe that when it comes to parallel universes, alternate realities, it's infinite. No, I think that I have explained this enough in the last 6 episodes that you've got a pretty good hold and understanding on how to be able to feel cloaked entities, and how to feel ghosts, how to feel things in the room that you can't see. And because of it, I'm going to start going into some of these entities that have been that people talk about. But I wanted to start with something that most people, they're not aware of. Those are more fun. And this is according to the Cherokee beliefs. Now, I call these people the invisible ones. I know they're there, and I think a lot of people have experienced them and have called them angels. Because they're people that you see them physically, but then they disappear. You turn your head back to talk to them and they're gone. Or you're having difficulty with your car won't start, and all of a sudden this total stranger comes out of nowhere and helps you fix your car. And then they disappear. Or you'll see one person, you're going down the road, and you're seeing that one person. And maybe he's hitchhiking and you didn't stop. So you're going down the road a few more miles. There he is again, same person. How did he get ahead of you? You know, so I think that everyone has had that experience at some point in time that they've met somebody. And it's like, did I just see an angel? Did I just visit with an angel? I know I have. And anyhow, the Cherokee, they call them the Nanahe, or Nanahai, which means the spirit warriors. I think it's Nanahai. But anyhow, it comes from the Cherokee legends. But I think that most of the Native Americans have the understanding of these spirit warriors. But I used to have classes that I would write, they were free classes, and they were at burlingtonnews.net/talk, TALK. And I would share information with people like I'm doing now, with these live streams. And so, like, if you go to burlingtonnews.net/talk, you can, there's a list of different classes I did, and you'll find a link to Spirit Warriors, and you can read up on it more so, okay? But let me just kind of read it to you as to what, and I researched this out. I talked to people. I Googled it. I spent a long time on this material. So it's not like I just jumped onto a site and copied what was on somebody else's site. It was out there. I collated it and put it up for better understanding for everybody. Okay? So anyhow, as my website reads, the Nanahai, the spirit warriors, are very seldom spoke of, but are well known by the Cherokee peoples. Roughly translated, Nanahai means people who live anywhere. They were believed to be of an immortal spiritual race and lived throughout the Cherokee lands, from high on top of the mountains where the trees don't grow to below the mounds in the earth around Niquasi, Niquasi. The Nanahai have been described to have the same physical characteristics of ordinary people. Most were always kind and generous, good-hearted, but never considered to be ghosts or evil spirits, nor have they been related to anything such as like of gods by the Cherokee. According to Cherokee legend, the Nanahai were a tribe of people who were known to live together in townhouses or longhouses. They were usually unseen by human eyes, but when seen, no obvious difference could be told, at least not until they disappeared before your eyes. They were considered immortal and was known to always to help those in tremendous need. When these spirit warriors wanted to be seen, they looked just like any other Indian. They loved to dance and play their drums at all hours. If a hunter or traveler heard their drum beat or music, which was often, and tried to find this invisible townhouse, the dancers would move before found and continue on with their dance. The searcher would then usually hear the music somewhere behind them or in a different direction, but no one has ever been reported as having been seen without invitation by them alone. Now, how many of you, I know I have, and I know a lot of people in the Burlington along Brown Lake and in the woods have heard these drum beats, but when you go looking for who it is that is beating on the drums, you don't find them. So I know that they still exist. We actually had maybe possible Nanahe walk in front of us one time in the woods. I'm saying a possible Nanahe because we were going down into the sacred circle, and an Indian, totally physical, tall, walked right in front of us. And then disappeared. And when he walked in front of us, though, he never looked at us. He acted like he didn't see us. But we could see him. But then as our eyes followed him, he just disappeared into nothingness. So it could have been a Nanahe. Which I called one of the invisible ones. Excuse me, mouth's getting dry. Okay, so they are considered to be very kind race and have been known to help those in need, especially if lost in the mountains. There are stories told that when a lost traveler needed shelter or food, the spirit warriors would take them to their townhouses and give them what they needed before showing them their way back home. Many, many times the spirit warriors would also assist in battles if needed. One such place was at the Cherokee town of Niquosi, along the Little Tennessee River. The Cherokee people across their land had been raided by a now forgotten tribe, and many were slaughtered and most everything destroyed. Even those fiercest of the Cherokee war chiefs could not hold the raiders back. All of the lower settlements had been destroyed, and the raiders were making their way into the mountains. The peoples of the Niquosi had gathered together in their townhouse, but kept watchers out on the edges of the settlement, looking for signs that the imminent disaster was nearing. And then one morning, very early, it happened. The warriors grabbed all their weapons and headed out to protect their lands and families. After fighting fervently for what seemed a very long time, the warriors found they were not succeeding in pushing back the raiders. They were tired, they were heartbroken, had lost most of their strength as well as their own spirit. Just as the warriors decided it best to retreat and return to their families to fight one last battle, a man appeared in their midst. No one knew who the stranger was, but he raised his voice and told the war chief to tell his warriors to back off. He would force the enemy to retreat. Many of the Cherokee witnesses said that this stranger spoke and was dressed as a chief for one of the overhill settlements in Tennessee. The Quasi warriors fell back and watched as a large group of unknown warriors came up from out of the mound as if they were walking through a doorway. Instantly, they realized that these warriors were of the Nanahe, but had never known of their village here at the Niquosi Mound. Hundreds and hundreds of these spiritual warriors kept coming out of the mound, dressed and painted as for war. But the true strange thing that was seen that day was that these new warriors would become invisible again as they left the boundaries of the village. Even the intruders saw them disappear. They could see their arrows flying towards them. They could feel the tomahawks coming down on them, but they could not see these supernatural attackers. Needless to say, the raiders didn't take long before they decided to start fleeing. It is told they first started south along the ridge the French brought from the Tuckasegee and then turn northeast. All the while they were trying to hide themselves behind trees and rocks, anything to keep from the Nanahe arrows. But as the arrows flew, they could divert around the obstacles and kill the enemy, always hitting their mark. There was no place that the invaders could hide to escape these spirit warriors. All along the ridge, the enemy fell. Their bodies lay scattered everywhere. By the time the remnants reached the main ridge of the French Broad, only 6 remained. These few, seeing their fate, stopped running, sat down, and pleaded for their lives. At this point, the first stranger, who by now was the apparent chief of the Nanahe of the Nakwazi Mound, walked up to those who had surrendered. He told them they had received exactly what they deserved because they had attacked a peaceful tribe. But he spared their lives and told them to return home and tell their people of what had occurred. Now, this is the general tradition among Indians, to allow a few to return home to tell the news. At this point, the raiders went north to their home, and the Nanahe returned to the mound. And a long time, maybe still to this day, the Cherokee called this place Dayul, where they cried. And it's spelled Dayul. So, Dayul. It is said that the Nanahe village is still there at that mound, at least up until the early 1900s. During the Civil War, a large troop of the Union soldiers were going to attack a small group of the Confederates that had been posted at the Nakwazi. But before they attacked, the Union soldiers saw the Nakwazi was surrounded by a countless number of the Nanahe, standing as if at guard around the small town. Needless to say, it terrified the Union soldiers so much they turned around and never attacked. Another story is told by an old man. One day when the village warriors were off on doing different things, mostly hunting, others visiting other settlements, this particular old man was cutting wood by a ridge. Without warning, a group of attackers came upon him. He thought that they were Shawnee, maybe Seneca. He threw his hatchet at the most available target and then ran for his home to get his gun and fight until he knew he would be the end of him. He made it to his house, grabbed his gun, and ran back outside. But upon exiting the home, he stopped short. Between him and the invaders were even a larger band of unknown warriors driving back the enemy. He joined in with this group of friends, not asking any questions, fighting the attackers until they finally retreated across the mountain. And then after the attackers had all disappeared, the old man turned to thank his new friends, but there was no one standing there. He was standing there alone. That is when he realized that these must have been the renowned Nanahe. Now, I have on that site a lot of stories of the Nanahe, these invisible warriors. But the Indians very much believe in them, especially the Cherokee. We, Caucasians, and others, of the Western, I should say, people of the Western attitude, or mind frame, a lot of, you gotta see it, taste it, smell it, whatever, in order to believe in it, but they are there. I have experienced the interaction with these types of people. Some call them angels or guardians, or refer to them as saints, like Saint Michael, Archangel Michael. But they are there. I have been taken out of safety, or I have been taken out of such dangerous situations that you couldn't even imagine. Literally picked up and put someplace safe. You hear about people falling down the stairs, where they should have felt every roll and been hurt. But instead, they don't feel anything. It's just like they're floating down the stairs. There's somebody there carrying them down those stairs. We've experienced the invisible ones in the woods. I mean, not that they're helping, but we've actually experienced them. One time we had this, it was Halloween. And so I took a group in, and there was this one smaller group that was dressed, satanically. And I just figured it was part of the costumes that they were wearing because of Halloween. So anyhow, they went with us up into the woods. I think Susie, if you're listening, I think Susie was there when this happened. But anyhow, they went out to the side when we got up into the woods, and they started doing some, some sort of ceremony of their own. And I kind of even think it was Susie had said to them, best not be doing that on Mary's tour, because that's not going to make her happy. And so they quit, kind of pouted, let me do my own thing. And then we're leaving. We're on our way back. It was just before you step out of the woods into the parking lot. And this one woman said to this guy, apparently he was a witch or Satanist. Anyhow, he was the leader of this bunch, and she was his mate. I don't know, second in command. But she looked at him and she says, well, we'll just come back after these guys leave and we'll do our ceremony. And I overheard it and I says, well, I wouldn't advise it. And she sarcastically said to me, well, you don't own this park. We can do whatever we want. I said, you can do whatever you want. All I'm saying is there's people in these woods that you do not see. Things in these woods that you don't see. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's there. And I don't think they're going to like what you're going to do. So anyhow, she said something kind of smart to me. But the whole group was around. And it was like it was like this invisible man, I'm assuming, picked her up by the seat of the pants. We actually stood there and we watched her be lifted and then kind of flipped horizontal. Like they were holding maybe the nape of her neck and the seat of her pants. Lifted her up and tossed her out of the woods, and she landed on her stomach and slid. But I mean, I could see it if it was a person that grabbed her and threw her, but there was nothing there. Totally invisible. And so, anyhow, so it was one of the invisible entities that lived in the woods. And guess what, guys? Those guys decided not to come back, and do their ceremony. So, I used to worry a lot about the woods, because I was exposing the woods to a lot of people. And I was afraid, that people would start coming in there and not respecting it, and doing maybe, non-spiritual type practices and ceremonies. Other people cutting up wood, breaking the trees and, things that people do. But then I realized that I didn't have to worry, because they used me as a conduit and, of course, a protector, and the storyteller. But these spirit warriors and the fairies and all these other unseen entities that live within within those woods, they're the real protectors of the woods. So it doesn't make any difference if I'm there or not. These guys will make sure that everybody respects those woods. I've had people, when I had the Sci-Fi Cafe, I'd have people come in and they would say that they would be in the woods, but then all of a sudden they would get this feeling that would come over them. And it was so strong that they were going to be hurt if they went any further. And it got to the point where they'd be so frightened that they'd have to turn around and run out of the woods. And I've always thought that what that is the guardians imprinting this message into their brain, so that they would have those type of reactions and actually fear, for their lives. It's called imprinting, I believe. I tell there's a certain sacred place up there in the woods that I was told not to go to, and I tell everybody, do not go. It's okay to go there during the day, but at night, do not go there. And there's been a few people that says, oh, well, that's where we want to go then. And I'll just tell them, hey, you're on your own. I'm not going with you. And but they have been attacked up there. They've been spiritually attacked. Oh, this one woman, she actually, a hawk appeared out of nowhere. I mean, seriously, it wasn't there, and it came out of the nothingness. Screamed and flew right at her, and she had to duck from being hit in the head. And then it disappeared. I've had other people say that they've seen aliens up there, the Greys. Like they've been, they see them. Some have seen them in their mind. Other people have actually seen them. People have been literally pushed and shoved up there. And the reason for it, I mean, these people have already been warned not to go up there. And out of respect, I don't go up there. But I need to tell people not to go up there because I don't want them going up there. And most everybody believes in what I say, and they give the respect that is due. Apparently, they're working on some sort of a planetary grid up there, and our energy somehow affects this grid that they're working on. This is what they told me, anyhow. So they just don't want anybody up there messing around and disturbing their work while they're working. So. So if somebody goes up there, get pushed off that cliff or falls, or, they've been told, they know not to be up there. Brian, he's a paranormal researcher, and while he was doing a video, he was up there, and you could hear the rocks being thrown. Rocks were coming out of nowhere and being thrown. But he did show respect. I mean, he stayed there for just a little while, asked them to throw some more rocks, which they did, and then he left, and he hasn't bothered them since, so that's a good thing. But there's places, and it's always about respect, always. Even when I'm working with pendulums and crystals, gemstones, working with trees, people, I show respect. I always say thank you, and I always say please. This is the way I was brought up. A handshake was your word. You didn't need 10,000 attorneys, writing up contracts, that they would eventually break anyhow. So it was just a different generation, I guess. I'm glad that I was brought up that way. So anyhow, I think, let me see if there's and I do want to say that these invisible people, there's a lot of, it's like there's many of them. It's not just one race. There's the Nunahai, your guardian angels, your archangels. There's people that have crossed over, your loved ones that have crossed over, friends that have crossed over, people that aren't your friends crossed over. There's Bigfoot. There's the dogmen, um, aliens, all different types of species of aliens. I think the government right at this point in time, well, when Sergeant Stone was still working with the government in retrieving UFO crashes, I think before he left, they had already classified 52 different races. So there's a lot of things, then there's the Native American Indian shamans that still know the secrets of how to create invisible cloaking. You know, our military's using it. I know our military's using it, and because we photographed an invisible entity up in the woods, and it was wearing like a fluorescent green helmet and a vest, and it had like a device, like a watch or something on its wrist. And when they realized with this one, and the helmet had a 5-pointed star. And we know government uses 5-pointed stars. Law enforcement uses 5-pointed stars. So I'm pretty sure this was government cloaking, watching, seeing what we were up to. But the thing is, I've never figured out why they're watching. That's the thing that gets me, is why would they feel the importance of sending up a soldier to that particular area that we do our tours, to stand there in my group and watch what was going on. That's the part that gets me. Is it could it be military from the future? Maybe through the woods and through the people that's been up there and through me. Maybe we started something, or something, something began there, an idea, disclosure. What did we do that was so important in this time period that soldiers from the future would come back just to watch us on that tour in the haunted woods? I don't know. I'm guessing. This happened 12 years ago, maybe even longer. So, and I haven't come up with an answer. Doubt if I ever will. But you never know. So the army, we know the army's using it too. We got proof of it. We did a video of this, and you can actually see it it's on YouTube. I think it's called Haunted Woods, Green Man. Green is in the color green, Green Man. So, who knows? I got the evidence. I have the proof. So isn't it always amazing how there's so much of us that have, the smoking gun, and we can't get anyone to touch it. Magazines won't write about it. Newspapers won't write about it. Television don't want nothing to do with it. A lot of people will contact me, and I can only do so much, and I just suggest that anybody that has seen something like this, experienced any of this, the supernatural, paranormal, to do it as I did it. I couldn't get the people to take me serious, so what I did is I created my own website, started my own radio station, got involved with Facebook. Now, and as time went by, more and more people noticed my work, and now I do lectures. I'm on radio shows, I'm on television shows and everything. But if you have to rely on somebody else and have them do the work for you, chances are you're not going to get any place. You can report it to me upon, But I can almost guarantee if they do find something, it's not going to share that with you. It goes to the higher ups. Newfound's good. I mean, the field researchers, I have a lot of respect for the field researchers. But with anything else, in any of these type of departments, the State Department, churches, various organizations, the congregations, the people, they're good. But when you start dealing with the hierarchy of any of this, and you get to a certain level in that hierarchy, all of a sudden the rules are changed. They're the ones in the know. They don't share that information with us. They take it and they take it to a higher level and a higher level. So what I've learned through all these years is if you want something done, do it yourself. Get out there. It's the squeaky wheel that gets the most attention. So you got to get out there. If you got something real and you can prove it, then come on. Get it out there. Show everybody. And get people talking about it. The more attention, the squeakier the wheel becomes, the more attention is going to be paid to it. So anyhow, so today we talked about, well, as promised, the invisible ones. Those that are the ones that are hidden within the realm or that are cloaked where we can't see them. So I started with the Nunahai, the spirit warriors of the Cherokee. But we'll continue this. Every day I'll share with you something that usually is not shared. I don't want to concentrate on shows that you have heard the same thing over and over and over and over again, okay? I want to take information that is new. Well, it's not new, but you guys, most people haven't heard about it. I want to share those inside stories. I want to share those inside tricks of the psychic. Tell you things that they only... I want to share things with you that they only share within their little circles. Remember, I've been in those circles, so they've shared information with me. And it's time and it's necessary that all of you now know what these secrets are. If we're going to be the rainbow warriors, then we have to, regardless of skin tone, we have to now, if we're going to survive this world and survive all the things that are coming, we as a people, regardless of religions, regardless of skin tone, we have to start sharing information and working as one. And we can't work as one if no one is sharing information. And it's okay to make money off it. I don't care. I make money off my books. I make money off, my websites, my store and stuff. I mean, you make a little bit of money, you can pay your bills. Good deal. But if you can't make money at it, well, so what? The priority one is to get the information out there. It's like the spirits told me, we'll share information with you as long as you take that information and share it with everybody else. But the day you quit sharing that information is the day we quit sharing with you. And so because of it, I always share my information, whether I make a dime off of it. Because I know that how the universe works. You do good, it's going to be returned to you tenfold. So, just get the information out and just sit back and relax. Create your world where you live in a world of prosperity, good health, happiness, joy, friends, good family, you know, and you'll have it. You just got to learn how to work with the universal laws. And when they tell you to share information, that's what they mean. And when they start telling you that we all have to come together as one, you know, as prophesized, you best be doing it. Okay? So, anyhow, episode 7, Mary Sutherland. Join my group where we share everything from UFOs, paranormal, cryptozoology, ancient history, giants, ancient races, sacred geometry, all that interesting, that good, fun stuff. And we got a lot of good people there. We call them like minds. And we all get along. We all share stories. And we come up with different little things to do. So everything's good. You can find it at facebook.com/groups/Mary Sutherland. I invite you all to come to my website at burlingtonnews.net. I have such a big website. It's like New York City. You have to have a map in order to get through it all. But so what I did is I designed my own search engine. So, because it would take you years to get through all my stuff. So I designed a website or a search engine, and there you'll find a box there. Any topic that you're interested in, just type it in that box and hit search. Then every website on that topic that I personally have written about, it'll all pop up. And so you'll find my work. It's easier to find that way. So anyhow, and then of course I have my regular Facebook site. I see Kevin Ludwig's here. Kevin has his own radio show, and I encourage all of you to watch his shows. And he's also a researcher. A lot of researchers in here. Thank you for supporting me. So anyhow, I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you again. Sending love and sending light throughout the world. Okay? Thank you. Bye now. See you tomorrow.